Hello everyone, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting every single game of Premier League Week 4 alongside ChatGPT and the random football scoreline generator. So without further ado, let's get predicting. Starting off with my predictions, it's at the Emirates Stadium. It is the Gunners versus Nottingham Forest. Now, I think this one is pretty easy to predict. I'm sorry, Nottingham Forest. I am going towards the favourites, Arsenal, to win this 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium. Number one, the change in manager is huge. Obviously, they had some relationship issues. Nuno Espirito Santos and the owner of Nottingham Forest, I assume that's why Nuno got sacked. But Ange Postecoglou coming in is definitely an interesting choice. But I don't think there will be any difference in this game if Nuno wasn't charged or if Ange wasn't charged, because I think Arsenal are that good that they can definitely win against Nottingham Forest, especially when Nottingham Forest couldn't score against West Ham United, which has been doing terrible. I feel confident Arsenal has got this one in the bag. I mean, it was a close game against Liverpool. It could have easily been a draw or even an Arsenal win, especially in the first half for Arsenal. So they didn't exactly do terrible against Liverpool.
Arsenal's impressive home record against Forest, not losing since 1989, combined with Forest's recent managerial changes, leans towards a 2-0 win for Arsenal.
Over to the Vitality Stadium, AFC Bournemouth versus Brighton hands over Albion. Now, AFC Bournemouth, they look phenomenal. Great win versus Spuds, and they're facing Brighton, which also got a win in their last game, winning 2-1 against Manchester City. But if you think about it, Tottenham Hotspur managed to get a win against Manchester City and then lost against Bournemouth. So if Brighton won against Manchester City, then they could easily lose against Bournemouth. And in my opinion, in terms of the attacking threat, at least for the first two games before the Man City game, Brighton did look a bit lost in their clinical edge. Although that has been proven differently after they've scored 2 goals against Man City. Although one of them was a penalty by James Milner, which has not scored for like 6 years or something. So crazy to see him back on the score sheet. But either way, Brighton did look good. The 4 substitutions was really smart by Fabian Hurtula. And really looking at it, I cannot split the sides. Bournemouth look really good. Brighton are going to be buzzing. They both had the international break for some rest time. And I think overall, on paper, they're pretty equal. So 1-1, I can't really split it either other way.
AFC Bournemouth versus Brighton and Hove Albion could end in a 1-1 draw. Bournemouth will push it home, but Brighton's structure and recent away form suggest they'll stay solid.
Over to St James's Park, Newcastle United versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Newcastle got in 2 strikers, Johan Wissa and Victor Waltmade. Hold up a second, I'm saying his name so wrong. It's Nek Voltemada. I'm so sorry for calling him Victor. I don't know what I was thinking. And the problem is, I don't have enough time to re-record all of this. So you're just gonna have to listen to me saying his name wrong. But anyway, he's a fantastic striker either way. Let's get back to my prediction, which are 2 fantastic strikers. Wiss is already proven in the Premier League, and Victor Waltmade, well, he's a 6'6" giant that has proven himself in a high-tier football league in Bundesliga. Isak Situation, no longer a situation, cause it's done. It's all over. We never have to think of it again. And I think Victor's, it's Nek Voltemada. Stop saying Victor. Who is this Victor? Probably going to start up front. I wonder how Eddie Howe's going to set him up as. The future is exciting with him. And I've been talking about Newcastle constantly. Everything's sorted. Okay, I don't care if we were really dull in that Leeds game. We've had an entire international break. So I feel like we can recuperate ourselves back to a good status. And we can forget that Leeds game. And at St James's Park, against Wolves, yeah, it should be pretty easy. 2-0 win to Newcastle United. I mean, come on. I know at St James's Park, we didn't do well in terms of we didn't get the result against Liverpool, but this time is against Wolves. And we still played well against Liverpool, even with not getting a result. So it should be a much easier game than a team like Liverpool.
Newcastle United's momentum and attacking strength, coupled with Wolves' defensive vulnerabilities, point to a likely 3-1 win for Newcastle at St James's Park.
Considering a lot of random scorelines happened last week, the random football scoreline generator predicting Wolves to win 3-2 against Newcastle isn't really out of the question because last week was random. But I'm just hoping Newcastle can win, and we should do, because if we don't, it's even more random than I thought. To the Hill Dickinson Stadium, where Everton face Aston Villa, and I'm going to go for a cheeky little draw here. I'm going to sit on the fence, 1-1. Everton have looked amazing with Jack Grealish and Dewsbury Hall on the side. Their link-up play will get them a goal. And I just cannot see Aston Villa winning with how dull and lackluster of energy they have looked in these first few games of the Premier League. So I can't see them winning Aston Villa. But I'm not going to go for them to lose because I cannot see a world under Unai Emery, under the signings of Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho, that they will not at least get a point at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton are good, they've proved that they're good, but Aston Villa still must have good quality remaining in them from last season and from all the other seasons where they've played well in the Premier League. That doesn't just go away in a flash. So they've still got the quality there. The players at Aston Villa is going to be able to revitalise themselves because of the likes of Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho, two players which are proved in the Premier League. And I feel like they are definitely going to contribute to a goal, even if it's just adding energy to Aston Villa, because I think those two transfers on loan are some great business considering Aston Villa can't really spend much. And that's why I'm not going for Aston Villa to lose, and because they've still got great quality at the club, and there's no way I can see them losing another game. But winning is a bit of a stretch considering you have looked pretty dull.
Everton have shown promise but lack a clinical edge. Aston Villa look sharper, so a 2-1 victory for them seems likely.
In what way are Villa sharper? They had a terrible game against Crystal Palace. Maybe ChatGPT saying they're sharper in the fact that they brought in Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho, but honestly I don't know what ChatGPT is on about, because they are not sharper and Everton look fine. So I don't understand why they're going for an Aston Villa win. Over to Selhurst Park, it's Crystal Palace versus Sunderland. Now Sunderland, I'm afraid your away record is probably going to be your downside this season. Probably a very obvious statement made by myself, but it's true. And especially this game in particular away from home, you're facing Crystal Palace, which have maintained Mark Gay. And Mark Gay scored a fantastic goal, and he's a fantastic defender. Now Wharton is injured and won't be available for this game. And obviously, Abrichieze's gone. Abrichieze did not stop them from thrashing Aston Villa 3-0. So, considering that, considering Sunderland's away form is probably going to be terrible, I feel confident that Crystal Palace are going to win this at home. 2-1 to Crystal Palace. Sunderland are going to make this close, but the fact that they lost to Burnley away from home doesn't give me confidence that they're going to do well against Crystal Palace away from home. Which, can I say, Crystal Palace, you are undefeated in the Premier League, Crystal Palace. So it's going to be a very hard game for Sunderland.
Crystal Palace versus Sunderland. Palace's strength at home, coupled with Sunderland's potential fatigue from early season efforts, suggests a 2-0 win for Palace at Selhurst Park.
Over to Craven Cottage, Fulham versus Leeds United. Now, Leeds United, big news in the injury business. Lucas Perry is out till October, their big goalkeeper. And that's big because last year Leeds suffered because of multiple mistakes by Illan Meslier. I personally rate Carl Darlow. So I would say put Carl Darlow in. Now, I'm not saying Illan Meslier is a bad goalkeeper. I just think he's a bit inconsistent. He can be really good, but I feel like Carl Darlow is going to be able to do a good enough job and probably not make any big mistakes. So Carl Darlow I would definitely put in. And I think even with the goalkeeper situation kind of looking a bit meh for Leeds United, I still feel like they're going to be able to get a point in this game. Now Fulham, I do think you were unlucky against Chelsea. I think Josh King, that was a beautifully worked goal, a beautiful finish by Josh King, and I think it should have stood. The Fulham player which did the spin, which committed the foul, really, he didn't commit a foul at all. He didn't even attempt to challenge the Chelsea player because he had the ball. He did a lovely spin. He couldn't put his foot anywhere else. He didn't mean to step on the Chelsea's player's toe, but it was just not a foul. The Fulham player did not challenge the Chelsea player whatsoever. He had the ball. The Fulham player had the ball. So I don't know why it was a foul. And I think that's very unlucky, and that could have been a completely different game if the VAR didn't actually butt in and change the decision. But it is what it is. But Fulham overall do have a good core, but I still feel like their squad depth needs to be increased in quality. But they've got a good core, and they are the favourites. But Leeds United, they've got the likes of Ethan Ampadu, Nameka, Pirro, and Tanaka returning. More crucially, Ethan Ampadu and Tanaka are two crucial returns for Leeds United. And away from home, I don't feel like Leeds will win, especially on how good Fulham is. I mean, Fulham are an established mid-table Premier League side, so it's going to be tough. But Fulham haven't exactly excited me with their games in terms of how well they've played. I think they've been quite close in their games. So I feel like a 1-1 draw makes sense. Leeds United haven't really scored much, and I feel like with Calvert-Lewin, he is 100% the right number 9 for Leeds United. I saw him against Newcastle United. The way he positions himself is exactly like a really good experienced striker. And the runs he makes is like a really experienced striker. And if he wasn't rusty after returning from an injury, a few of the chances he had against Newcastle, he would actually be able to finish those and be pretty clinical. I think he is exactly what Leeds United need. And really, he can play as a good hold-up striker as well, because his dribbling and ball control is really, really good. And I think in this game, the only reason why Leeds United will score is because of Calvert-Lewin. And I've been pretty impressed with Leeds United's start.
Fulham and Leeds United both have attacking instincts, but also defensive issues, so it's a 1-1 draw.
Over to a London derby, hosted at the London Stadium. West Ham United versus Spuds. Now, Spuds had a shocking loss. I mean, it's gonna happen against a good Bournemouth side as well. And it wasn't a thrashing, it was only a 1-0 loss. But other than that, you've looked good all season. Your transfer window's gone pretty good. Thomas Frank, even if it didn't go amazing, their transfer window, he would be able to sort something out, Thomas Frank. And even though West Ham looked amazing, they've holded on to Paqueta, and Callum Wilson looks like a great electric spark, and Graham Potter made some good substitutions with him and Somerville to win with 3 very late goals and a great late drama against Nottingham Forest. And Jarrod Bowen looks really, really good, better than ever. Even with all that said and done, I still feel like they're going to lose. The international break has happened. Tottenham can reflect on what they've done wrong against Bournemouth, and Thomas Frank can fix it, and he will. I mean, West Ham still lost against Wolves in the Cup. They still lost terribly against Sunderland and terribly against Chelsea. So I think going 3-1 Tottenham makes sense. I'm pretty confident with Tottenham, but don't underestimate West Ham. Their attack is starting to come together. That's why I've given them a goal.
Spurs' attacking wings and counter skills could punish West Ham, especially if they're still rebuilding confidence. So 2-1 to Tottenham Hotspur.
To the G-Tech Community Stadium, Brentford versus Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, you could say they were a bit lucky to win against Fulham, but they still won, and really, it's looking a bit like a mess. I heard that Nicholas Jackson was on the plane to Bayern Munich, but now because Liam Delap pulled his hamstring and he's out for 8 weeks, they have to bring Nicholas Jackson back. The poor Nicholas Jackson, he was literally in Germany, I'm pretty sure, and now he has to go back to Chelsea. Don't know what's going through his head, but it seems like a bit of a weird decision. Chelsea have great squad depth even without Nicholas Jackson and Liam Delap being injured. A bit of a weird one, but I don't think that's going to affect them against Brentford. I think it's an easy prediction, Chelsea to win this 2-1. I am going a bit close though, because Brentford do have Dango Atara, they do have Thiago, they do have Kevin Schade, although he did miss a penalty. He looks like a bit of an electric spark in the attack. So I feel like they do have players in the attack to get a goal, and really hinder that Chelsea defence. But Chelsea still, their squad depth looks fantastic. 2-1 Chelsea.
Brentford might make it tight early, but Chelsea's quality and squad depth should see them pull away. I'm thinking 2-0 to Chelsea.
To Turf Moor, now onto the Sunday kickoffs. Burnley versus Liverpool. I'm going 3-0 Liverpool. I'm sorry, Burnley. I know your home record is probably what's gonna at least give you the most points, but against Liverpool, it's not gonna happen, I'm afraid. You were unlucky not to get a point against Man United. Very unlucky. But really, Man United made loads of chances. So at the end of it, maybe Man United deserved it. But you're losing 3-0. Liverpool just look unstoppable. I mean, Szoboszlai in that new position looks fantastic. Best player at Liverpool, isn't he? 3-0 Liverpool.
It should be a comfortable 3-0 win to Liverpool. They should dominate possession and have far more firepower. Burnley might defend hard, but Liverpool's class should show through.
The Random Football scoreline generator predicts another weird one, 2-0 to Burnley. To be fair, at the moment, if this trend continues, all the newly promoted sides are gonna be undefeated at home. So maybe Burnley winning 2-0 isn't too far away from the question. Liverpool did look a bit shaky against Newcastle, I'm just saying. Over to the biggest game of the week. It's a Manchester derby, Manchester City versus Manchester United. And Manchester City, the likes of Shaky and Kovacic are injured going into this game. Huge injuries, really big injuries in my opinion, which is going to hinder their performance in this game. They've obviously got countless other injuries, but I believe a lot of their injuries are returning for this particular game. I've been disappointed that they've only gotten 1 win in 3 games. I know it's early days, but they normally start seasons really well. And without the creativity from Kovacic and Shaky, in particular Shaky, they're going to struggle. I do feel like they're going to score a couple of goals because it's at the Etihad, because they've got Erling Haaland. But Manchester United, they've obviously got their concerning issues. But you know what? They haven't played terrible. They got their first win against Burnley, and there was a great reaction after doing terrible against Grimsby. So I feel like Man United, we've seen it against the Gunners. They played well against the Gunners, which are a top quality side. So why can't they play well against Man City? This is a draw in my eyes. A Desmond Tutu in this Manchester derby. You might be shocked by that, but I think this is probably the best time, if Man United were to get some points against Man City at the Etihad, for it to happen for Man United. Man City, back-to-back losses in the Premier League, no Shaky, no Kovacic, a few concerns around this Man City project. Perfect timing, but I can't see you winning it because you still got a bit of problems. But I just think about it, the likes of Brian and Webber as well, he's going to carry you to this victory. I'm certain of it. The amount of chances he creates, and also Bruno Fernandes is going to carry you to this victory. You're going to create loads of chances, and where you're positioned right now in 9th is probably where you're going to finish. 2-2.
Manchester City versus Manchester United. City should win this 2-1. Although it'll be a close game. Even with injuries, City at the Etihad are dangerous. United are improving, but still vulnerable, especially in defence.
Over to goal of the week. Now, I'm torn between 2 players, Szoboszlai and Mark Gay. 2 great goals. I am going for Mark Gay's goal because it was from open play, but Szoboszlai, that could be the best free kick of this Premier League campaign. But Mark Gay does get it with a great top right finish. Now over to the scores. And what's interesting is that me, ChatGPT, the Random Football scoreline generator, all got 3 points last week. Which puts me on 15 points, puts ChatGPT on 15 points, and the Random Football scoreline generator on 10 points. I mean, it's going to go down to neck and neck at the end of the season. But that's really interesting. All of us got 3 points. We all did terrible. Like I said, it's random. But I suppose I'm going to leave everything there with you. What do you think of all our predictions? Get your predictions down below. Have a good discussion. I want more good discussions in the comments. But for now, have a fantastic, lovely day. Toodaloo.